Marketing to children isn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world. Whether we're talking about the egregious franchise saturation of the 1980s, or the endless rehashing of old ideas today, companies that have an interest in remaining in the public lexicon fight tooth and nail for that brand recognition. They make the toys, they create TV shows, they draft up comics, and may even go so far as to release big-budget Hollywood movies. Each business-savvy mogul is trying their damnedest to grab the attention of those whose focus is always in motion: the kid. There are primarily two ways of accomplishing that goal. The first being to make whatever narrative or story is associated with the brand so boringly simplistic that kids won't ever have to blink twice at it, and can move in and out of it with enough freedom that there's always the chance of a return. The second is to populate it with so much that keeping up will make a kid feel so invested that it becomes a subconscious obligation to them. In the former, shows like SpongeBob SquarePants have dominance in a kid's mind with its random and irreverent attitude, colorful and inoffensive persona, and all-around simplistic character and episode style that one only needs to see one episode in order to be aware of what the show is and all the ideas behind it. You don't have to have seen every single episode of SpongeBob to go out and buy a shirt or a toy of it.
That was me, Oh, please excuse me, sir.
Oh, well, that's quite all right, SpongeBob.
Wow, I'm getting recognized all over. Why, next thing you know, people are gonna start doing stuff like holding doors open for... Why, sir, I'm flattered.
Really? I don't smell anything.
Ah! You're on your way, kid.
In the latter, franchises like Transformers have so many arcs, characters, spin-offs, and innumerable toy lines that those looking to invest their time in the fandom soon find themselves with a plate full of the brand to investigate. Catching up on all that's been produced as of now doesn't even account for all that's coming down the line. It's a nightmare.
I don't know who you are, but you saved our lives. We're Autobots. We're from Cybertron, a planet far from Earth.
Another planet? That's awesome.
Those who tried to harm you are called Decepticons. We must stop them before they destroy your world.
I'm not trying to argue that franchises without end are necessarily bad. Several of them, such as Star Wars and Batman, continue to be rich and engaging, despite slip-ups that may occur along the way. What I am trying to say is that an enterprise focused around engaging children can be both simplistic yet complex, without having to be either pandering to a younger mind, or so intimidatingly dense that it turns them away. From my childhood, that's exactly where BIONICLE came into play. BIONICLE was a LEGO Technic brand of buildable action figures that released in 2001. The origin of the story follows alongside 6 heroes, based on the elements of fire, earth, water, ice, stone, and air as they arrive on a paradise island, unaware of their origins, but sure of their destiny, to protect the island's inhabitants from the dangers of ferocious wildlife and shadowy warlords. First off, that general premise is all one needs to understand what BIONICLE is about. Notice how it's not as inane as a sponge that lives his days as a fry cook and acts like a child. But it's not as intimidating as having a roster of 30-plus characters who arrive on Earth after their homeworld is destroyed in the aftermath of an alien civil war. BIONICLE opens its story with a tale that can deliver the same energy as any of the classic epics, but also doesn't venture too deep down the rabbit hole right at the start of the journey. As the franchise developed, it of course explored more complex themes. The idea that there can be more than 6 warriors, or Toa as they're called. Or the idea that our heroes were not the first team of Toa to ever walk the Earth. Or the idea that their deity is currently asleep due to the manipulation of those who would take his place. The difference between something like BIONICLE and Transformers is that BIONICLE takes time to introduce these ideas. It doesn't throw the entire kitchen sink at you at once, but rather, it allows for a natural evolution of events. It gives time for the arcs of characters to play out. It's confident in both its story team as well as the quality of the toys and other media that sell alongside it, which is important to keep in mind. LEGO, especially in 2001, wasn't necessarily as large of an idea or as powerful a force in the entertainment world as it is today. In 2018, 3 full-length LEGO feature films have been released in theaters to general economic success and overall critical praise. Ninjago! Not only that, but the ideas behind the LEGO products themselves have only increased in quality as the years have gone by, not only throughout the entirety of the LEGO brand, but in the evolution of the BIONICLE toys specifically. Take a look at Toa Tahu from 2001. It's a very simplistic design for a character, the flagship character no less, and at a modest original sales price. The years following, Toa Tahu had become Toa Nuva Tahu. More weapon variety, more complexity in the design, and more play functions to boot. 2 years later, Toa Vakama released, with even more posability and playability in the figure. And as the years go on, innovation in the toys took place, offering more diversity on the finished package while still maintaining to be fair to your wallet. Now go look back at Transformers. It's a much more restrictive idea. Hasbro can play around with what the design will look like down the road, but never how to get to that design. The puzzle action figure combination is key to the element of that brand. Bionicle not only serves as an action figure, even at times accompanied by vehicles, but there's the added function of it being a Lego set. A kid has to put in time into making the figure a reality. In that way, they can view themselves as part of the creation process. And what makes Bionicle even more unique in that respect is that each figure has a name, a distinct personality, a backstory, dreams, hopes, and fears. Ordinary Lego sets may feature characters with similar traits, but minifigures take no time to build at all. Putting the finishing touch by placing the mask over the head of your Toa hero is a true accomplishment to a kid. Any adult can get the construction process done lickety-split, but to a kid, this is their first time being involved in the creation of something. A character with an identity and a personality. It's tangible, it's in the kid's hands, and in that way, it's more unique than something like a drawing on a piece of paper, because the image the kid has seen in their heads has been realized. Even more grand is the fact that Lego is malleable, even Bionicle. Kids can redesign and create new characters whenever they want. And I say again, the modern toy is just too restricted for them to experience this anywhere else. You go into any department store nowadays, the toy aisles are littered with Cars merchandise, a brand even more limiting than Transformers in that it has to be at least based on the idea of a car. With Transformers being aliens, wackiness is more acceptable, but neither can come close to competing with Bionicle's freedom. To be clear, I do like Transformers, the idea behind it anyways, and I loved SpongeBob as a kid. The thing to take away from this is the specialness behind Bionicle's ability to evolve over time, provide new play experiences every year, tell gripping stories without pandering or over-exhibitioning to an audience, and to be replayable and changeable in a way that I have yet to see any other toy do. I come to this discussion fueled by nostalgia, it's true, but I can confirm with the greatest of confidence that my Bionicles were the only thing I kept from my childhood, and I've never regretted it. And there's a reason for that.